Hi guys, Every Knife Guy here, and I'm here with a SAK video for you today. I wanted to show you my first soldier model, ALOX model. This is a 82 soldier, and it's an 82 because that was the year of my birth. I've been looking for an 82 for quite some time. Saw this on eBay, and if you know anything about these, you can tell straight away this is in very used condition, but maybe not in a bad way, I'm not sure. And yeah, it's a funny kind of fetish, I guess, but if I'm going to be buying soldier models, which of course, again, if you know anything about these, have the year stamped on the tang of the blade. If I'm going to be collecting or picking up soldier models, I want them to be from meaningful years, and yeah, for me that would be most likely the year of my birth, because it means the knife is of a certain age, over 30 years now, obviously 33, and I just think it's cool. It's you know, it's had a lifespan the same as mine, and I've gone through a lot in my life. It's just interesting to look at it and wonder what it's gone through. And in this particular one, it looks like it's gone through quite a lot because it is worn almost smooth. And this is what it looks like now. I'm just going to roll in some footage in a second that's going to show you what it looked like before I got to work. Now you might be thinking how rough this looks. But trust me, it looked a hell of a lot worse when I received it. I bought this on eBay. I got it for a really cheap price, as you might expect, considering the condition. And yeah, without further ado, I'm going to pause here and roll in that footage of what it looked like before I cleaned it up a bit. So at this stage, all I've done is clean it up. I submersed it in a bath of hot soapy water for a little while. I went over it with a toothbrush, with some Q-tips, with toothpicks, all that kind of stuff, and got all the gunk and grime out, and it was frankly pretty disgusting. But I think I've got it pretty clean, at least sanitary for now, until I clean up and polish the tools and do any grinding or whatever needs to be done. So I thought I'd go over the condition first of all. So as you can see from the main scale here, this has the actual Victorinox shield, not the old cross. And if you look at the ALOX scales, look how smooth that is. Let's just compare that to a nearly new Farmer. I don't know if you can tell there, but I mean, look down that gap. Look at the difference in the ridges of the scales. This is worn almost completely smooth. It's over 30 years old, of course, so it looks like it's been in someone's pocket pretty much every day for 30 years, to be honest. And yeah, it's really smooth. There's a standard thickness of scales. I assume these would have been the same thickness when they started. See if we can compare that there. You can see they've ground down quite a lot. So there's plenty of dents and chips, of course. The shield's pretty well worn down, as you can see. The heads of the rivets and stuff are all worn down. The little square here is a nice little feature. I'll get to that in the main review when talking about the soldier. And you can see just a general condition all over is well worn, I would say. Not terrible. There's not any huge dents or anything. Definitely well worn. The tools, however, are a bit of another matter. Let's go ahead and open everything up, and I can show you what it looks like inside now that I've actually not at too much danger of cutting myself because it's pretty blunt. I just cleaned it out, as I said, and lubed it up. So you can hear there a good snap at this stage on the bottle opener there. So if you look inside, you can see I got it fairly clean, quite nice and shiny in there. That was absolutely black when I got it. So yeah, pretty clean and nicely lubed up, all the pivots working fine. But let's go over the tools one by one. Oops. Close that up there. Let's pull out the main knife blade first of all. So you can see this is extremely well worn, badly sharpened, and extremely scratched up. Now, it's interesting actually. Let's get a quick size comparison on this here. Have a look at that. Isn't that crazy? Let me see if I can get this to focus, put my hand behind it. Look how much that blade's been used and ground down over the years. So it's interesting. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this. I might just try and clean it up as it is and put an edge on it, or I might try and at least put a bit of a curve backwards as it should be on a standard blade. But anyway, that's all fine. It's well worn. I don't have a big issue with that. One thing that is a problem with that is when you have the knife in the handle, because it has been so worn back from where it should be, look where the tip of the knife sits. That's it fully and properly seated within the handle scales, and the tip is so worn back it's actually proud to the surface. So if that was sharp, I obviously wouldn't be able to do that, but that could be a bit of an issue. But as I plan on carrying this on a little pocket leather slip sheath, it's not a huge deal. I may just not be too crazy about sharpening the point for obvious reasons. You don't want to catch yourself on that. So that's one little issue presented by the condition. Show you the beautiful edge on this. Isn't that something? So I don't know what this has been used for most recently, but it looks like it was for cutting masonry. So anyway, next tool, can opener. See, it's still a little bit grimy in there. I need to do some more work on that. Pretty scratched and beat up. Actually looks like it's been used quite a lot for being a can opener. So I'll probably just sharpen up the edge on there and try and clean up the surfaces a little bit. The reamer awl, again, yeah, that edge is almost completely blunt and pretty well scratched, pretty well used. A few chips along the edge there, as you can see. Quite a thin edge on these. So yeah, and the tip broken off, of course. Let's compare that with this farmer here. I don't know why I keep putting this away, because of course it's a good comparison model. And you can see there that the tip is missing, so I'll probably try and you know, sand or grind that down to something a bit more piercing. What have we not done? Oops, go over to this side. Good snap, as I said, on the cap lifter, and again, pretty well scratched and used. This actually looks like it's being ground out at some point to try and sharpen it, maybe as for stripping something off. I don't know. It looks like there's green paint on there. Still need to sand that off, and yeah, pretty rough shape. So overall, well used. It's now clean and ready for me to get to work and try and make it look a little bit better and make it a little bit more functional, because it's not cutting anything right now. So as you can see, guys, I've managed to put a bit of an edge on it. I am no sharpening expert, but it will slice phone book paper now, so I'm pretty pleased with that, considering the state it was in before. It's a little toothy. I can certainly do some more work on it, try and get a little better, but for everyday carry purposes, and this is going to be like an everyday user mixed into the rotation of all my other Swiss Army knives that I like to carry on a day-to-day basis. As an everyday user, I think that's a pretty serviceable edge. And let's just take a little look at what it looks like now. I kind of gave it a bit of a, let me just get that a little wipe off first. I gave it a bit of a kind of, my best attempt at hand rubbed satin. There's a couple of deep scratches there you can see that I didn't quite get out. I took off as much material as I was comfortable with, and that was a lot to get rid of all the worst the scratch is and try and correct this bevel as much as I could. As you can see, the bevel is still fairly wonky back here, but I really am comfortable taking off any more. I looked at where the tip was, and it was sitting up here, as we looked at back in the before cleaning video, or sorry, before sharpening video. It was sitting up here, and it was okay, but I just wasn't happy with the way it was. So I actually took the tip off a little more. I made it almost into a clip, and brought the tip down. I think it looks okay, and makes a little bit more of a piercing point on it. And the main benefit of that, of course, is now the tip does sit down protected within the handle scales just enough so that there's no real way your finger can catch on it. So quite pleased with that. Let's just take another look at the blade before we move on. Just clean this off and get rid of this stuff. As anyone who watches my channel knows, I'm way too OCD and anal to let that stuff lie around there cluttering up the camera frame. So this is what the blade looks like now. It is not beautiful, but it is a hell of a lot better than it was. And hopefully that's showing up on camera as well. A few deep scratches you can see even on that side, but overall it's a little bit more respectable. So that's the blade. The other tools, I filed down the tip of the awl or reamer. I made that into a razor sharp little piercing point on there, and kind of sharpened up this edge a little bit, so it actually makes quite a nice box opener now. So that's probably what that'll be used for mostly. Other tools, I sharpened up the edge a little on the can opener, that's a little bit better, and tried to correct and straighten out the small flathead screwdriver slightly, so that's a little more usable. And yeah, and I just cleaned out the paint and brightened up and cleaned some of the gunk out and basically sorted out the edge a little bit and sharpened up a little bit on the large flathead and bottle opener. So it is by no means a thing of beauty still, guys. The scales are still well worn and beaten, but for me that is the attraction of this particular one. It's my first soldier, it's my first 82 soldier, and that is something, as I see them over the years, I may well be tempted to pick up a few of, and preferably always be trying to pick up one that's of a higher condition than the previous. So if I can find one that's still used but a little better than this, I would definitely go for it. If I can find one that's in mint, obviously that's the ideal, but I wouldn't like to think how much that would cost. But I would eventually obviously like a mint condition 82 soldier in the collection, if such a thing exists, but we will get there someday. I have this little bit piece of 550 paracord on here. I like to carry this sort of model in a little leather slip sheath. Something to pull it out is obviously nice. And I just have this tied on here to basically preserve the fact that I managed to finally get a piece of paracord through that rivet hole. I actually bored out the rivet hole to make it slightly larger for the cord, and even then it was a hell of a job to get the cord through. Even this gutted cord, singed and rolled up as small as it could, to get that through that hole was really quite difficult, so I was so glad to get it through. I just tied it off and called it a day, and I'll go back and turn it into a proper lanyard at some point once I manage to stitch up a little sheath for it. So that's about all there is to say, guys. It is what it is. It's just a basic soldier model, the military version of the Pioneer, of course, and just basic tools, but a great pocket carry knife, and obviously a lot of history in this one. I'd like to know what the history was, but we never will know, of course, other than this has been well used and probably loved, despite the fact that it was a little bit abused as well, and it will be loved and used by me as well. So there it is, guys. Just wanted to show you that, and thanks for watching, and appreciate your comments as always. I'll be back with more knife and sack videos soon. Cheers, have a great day.